Hello and welcome to my reflection paper assignment. Well, I guess it's not a paper, but more of a reflection video. I was gonna do a paper when I first read over this assignment. I figured, all right, I'll just put a report. But when we talked about this in the class, and you brought up as an instructor that it doesn't have to be a paper, or it could be something creative, and I figured to myself, you know what? This is an opportunity to get out of my comfort zone, to get out of just doing my default, write a report, submit it. And I figured, when I want to meet somebody, it's not always going to be just putting a report. When we go through the mind map together, you'll see that in my situation or my career, it's no longer just submitting emails or paper, but I'm gonna be in a situation where I could do more of face to face conversation. So I figured this is the best platform for me to practice where I could tell you about myself. I could build this mind map, and hopefully by the end of the video and the end of this assignment, you'll get to know more about me, and hopefully I'll get to know more about myself. So I figured I'm gonna build this mind map live with you. You'll see how I put all my ideas together. We'll go through all the list of the questions that came from the assignments, and hopefully, as I mentioned, we will learn something about me and I'll learn something about myself. So as I have my Canva here in the background, I'm gonna build this mind map. I'm gonna be looking at my screens here to build copy paste images that I will discuss here as we go along. So obviously, my name is Bilal Abdo. The first thing about me, or the first thing I recognize about myself, is that I am a Muslim, a practicing, faithful Muslim. I've used Islam throughout my life to help me get over obstacles, to get over dark times in my life, to help me connect with the Creator and connect with. Disconnect from this world and the stresses of this world. As a Muslim, we pray 5 times a day, so that gave me an opportunity to detach myself from the worldly affairs, whether it be stress, whether it be depression, whether it be all the negative things. And it also helped me take value into all the good things in life, being happy, being attached to my parents, to my family, to my community. And it helped me realize that it will make me a better person to be around, that I'm more patient, more listening to people, as Islam teaches us all that, and that the Prophet, peace be upon him, Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, had the best character, and he did say that the best people of you are those who have the good character. So me being as a Muslim allows me to have the best character around the people around me immediately, and the people that work with me, and the people that report to me, and so on and so forth. So that's why I say Islam is my first attribute here that I want to add to my mind map. So let's hope this works. As I said, this is live, so bear with me. So there we go. Islam. So as you see, first thing that people come into mind Islam is the holy city of Mecca and the pilgrimage and the Kaaba. This whole yeah, and I also went pilgrimage back in 2014, and life changing, knowing, seeing all the different cultures getting together and doing the same things, and seeing, recognizing how much people believe in what you believe and are at the core, all of us are the same. I don't want to get too much details about it, but that's the first thing that I recognize myself with. The second thing here, I was born and raised in Canada. However, my ethnicity is I am Middle Eastern, and my background or my nationality is Lebanon. So both of my parents are from Lebanon. So I'm just gonna get another image here. Just bear with me again. So there we go. So I am Lebanese. That's my background, but I honestly identify myself as a Canadian more than I'm Lebanese. So I try to take, as I said, the good stuff of being Middle Eastern, generosity and making people feel very good about themselves and whatnot. But that's my background. However, as I said, I was born and raised in Edmonton, homegrown boy. I didn't really get a chance to change or move from Edmonton, but I had opportunities through work and whatnot, but I just ended up staying in Canada, and we'll get to why I stayed as we go along here. So my education, I am an engineer. I graduated in Nate. First time I graduated in Nate is 2012. I took the electrical engineering technologist program, and I have been working for a company called Rising Edge Group. So I graduated in 2012. I worked in this company since then. This company has been really well for me. When I actually started in 2012, it was a small company, about 100 people, but now it grew to close to about 500 people. And what I like about this company, and we'll get to the at the bottom, it helped me grow. It helped me from just being a normal engineer designer. It helped me grow into becoming more of a leader in the company. So now I oversee not just my own engineering projects, but I oversee all the engineering projects. So I do see their budgets, I do see milestones, I do deal with the resources, making sure they have what they need to meet the client's expectation. So I guess from me working at Rising Edge Group, I do have my project management certificate. So I do have my PMP. So I guess we could add that here. Hopefully, you see where I'm coming from, and then you'll see how what I could bring into this class. Let me zoom out a bit. Uh, this is not good because I only have now 8 minutes, so I hope that I don't get cut off. If I do, I'm just gonna give you you know, a second video. So PMP, and then I also have my Apega stamp. So let me see if I could find an image of that Apega stamp. So as I said, I'm an engineer, fully practicing, and that's one thing about me when I worked for this Rising Edge group. Uh-huh. There we go. I hope I don't know, I'll try to keep this not as boring. You could hear me breathing and talking about it. Hobbies. I love working out. So every morning, I don't know, is it to a fault now? Every morning I'm at the gym. I work out. That's the first thing I need to do. Even if I'm running late, I'm like, all right. Before I get to work, before I do anything, I'm gonna go hit the gym. It does help me get my what's it called, my head in the right space. I do help me get away from stress. I do feel that it helps me get my thoughts together and focus for the rest of the day. So that is, it's not just a hobby anymore. Honestly, it's now just like a way of life that I have to work out every morning, and I have to make sure I eat healthy. I have to make sure that I do all that, and even that, like, it helped me with making sure that I do help me always stay away from stress. It helped me get out of my depression when I was in my early 20, late teens, early 20s. So yeah, when I started working out, it was life changing. So that is one of my hobbies for sure. Another hobby is I do play, beer league, ice hockey. I've never played when I was growing up. And one thing, when you're finishing school, you do end up, I might as well make it Oilers. You do end up like having a lot of time. So I figured, like, I've always liked hockey. I've always watched hockey. So I figured, you know what, let me take some classes, like some hockey camps, and I learned how to play hockey. And then ever since then, I play on a beer league team called Night Terrors. I don't know if I could find the logo. I doubt that I could, but yeah, we play in a men's league once a week and whatnot. One thing about me is I have a lot of leadership attributes, and I do love mentoring. So ever since I was about 18, 19, I have been taking like a young men and working with them to develop them to make them leaders, and using Islam as a point to make them leaders. So I have created a young program for the past 15, 20 years, where I started with these young men from junior high, and now I develop them to become leaders, develop them how to use Islam to become strong leaders in society and everything. And now they have become like doctors, pharmacists, accountants. And on top of that, we started another wave of young generation men to hopefully get in the steps And the end game for there is to make sure that they become, beneficial to society, beneficial to work where they work, and so on. uh, the group is not really registered anywhere, but we do work under uh, an Edmonton-based Islamic community called the Canadian Islamic Center. I'm gonna see if I could find an image of our mosque here, and I will put it on the mind map. Nice. And looks like we're getting close to the 5 minutes. So as I said, I'll try to finish the mind map here, and then probably continue this on and continue answering the questions in the next video. Um, as I said, my life experiences, like this is pretty much it. So I have been from, having religious experiences, having leadership development programs, working out, playing hockey. I work for a company called Rising Edge Group. I have my PMP and my APEGA stamp. Hopefully, by the end of August, I should have my business degree as well from Nate. So these are my last two classes. Coincidentally, both of them are with you, the same instructor. And as I said, I'm heavily involved in the Canadian Islamic Center, or the Al Rashid community, as shown here in the mosque. Trying to think of any other things I want to bring up here. Ethnicity, Middle Eastern, Jim. Yeah, I guess from my family, I am the oldest out of four, or like I have a brother and two sisters. I'm the oldest one. I do have a niece. I'm really attached to her. I and I guess and as I said, we'll get through the questions and from there. But I think from this mind map, what else I could add is, yeah, no, I think this pretty much wraps it up. Um, yeah. So I guess this mind map here, if I do think of something in the next video, I will add it up. But as I said, PMP. Well, I guess I could talk about my future goals. So ultimately, what I do expect from myself is to become a president or the CEO of my company. So I don't know if I could find an image of a CEO or something, but yeah, I don't know. I'll get a stock. This guy looks pretty CEO-ish. So that's my end goal. Like as I said, like when I took this, when I went back to school with my degree, I figured to myself, this company is growing, and I do want to become more and more important and more development. So I said to myself, I'm going to be in the Rising Edge Group CEO eventually. So I guess that's my mind map here. And we will talk about, I guess, the next video, or I'm going to try to edit it to make it one big video. We'll go through my answers, and then if I think of something, I will definitely add it to the mind map. So I'll keep this shared, and we'll start going through the questions and building this mind map as we go along here. All right, welcome back, or as I guess it's a continuation of this video, as I'll edit it to make one video. So are we creative? When I first started this class and we were talking about creativity and if we were creative and whatnot, I kind of felt out of place just because I'm not creative artistically. So I don't really like draw. I don't really make videos. I don't have even social media because I was like, yeah, it's not for me. Like I don't take pictures of myself. I don't like to bring attention to myself. So I didn't think of myself as a creative person. I don't create content. I don't upload videos. I don't make acting or anything like that. I don't draw. I don't think anything. But then when I started doing a deeper dive and reading the material, I did notice I am creative. And then as a PMP, you're going to have to be creative. Not all projects are going to run the same. Not all budgets are going to be easy. Like you have to not manipulate, but you have to be agile. You have to think of different ways of making sure the project is successful. And as I said, as in Rising Edge, I am now more of a engineering manager, or let's say my official title is senior project engineering lead. So one project team, you have to treat them one way, and then another project team, you have to completely oversee what you're doing, or like completely over undo what you're thinking, or like you cannot create two projects the same, and there's no two teams the same. So I have to be creative in how I deal with different people and different teams and different projects and different PMs, or like my other counterparts across the company. I deal with one director one way, I deal with another director a different way. So I have to be creative in how I do things. One PM recognizes, okay, I have to be straight with this person and just tell them numbers. Some I have to massage the numbers in the sense, hey, this is not as a big of a deal. Some people I have to overreact or pretend to overreact. Some people I have to massage their egos. So in a sense, I am creative when it comes to working in a company, working with teams, working with engineers, is that you have to be creative with them. So to answer the question, I am creative in the right position, or when it comes to building teams and for projects and budgets and stuff like that. So I guess it does kind of go back to my PMP, which oddly enough, one of the things that I learned when I was doing my PMP, it's called Agile. I don't know if I could find a. So let me see if I could find here. Yeah, this looks pretty much Agile methodology. But yeah, yeah, it doesn't. Here we go. So as you can see, being part of the, I guess being agile is considered being creative. So that's why I could explain to myself that I am creative. And even as an engineer, you're not going to find, you're going to have to be creative in a sense where not all problems are going to have the same solution. You have to be creative in design. You have to be creative in coming up with meeting clients' expectations and stuff like that. So, like for example, I deal with clients from CNRL, an oil company, clients in the states such as Strata, who work for different companies like Duke Energy and Dominion and stuff like that. So, as an engineer, you have to be creative coming up with solutions. So that's one thing I learned so far, is that creativity is not artistic only, but is how you apply problems and how you come when trying to find solutions, is being creative. So I do feel myself that I am creative. Um, so when I was reading the article of enemies of invention, and yes, it does affect some, two articles or two authors does affect my ability to be creative. The first one is the fear of failure. So as I said, like my ethnicity is Middle Eastern, background is um, Lebanese, and we do have this thing where like the expectations of a person is that all of them have to have the same story arc. All right, you finish school, you get married, have kids, have family. That's it. So like that's a story arc that a lot of Middle Eastern people have and expect from you. And if you deviate from that arc or deviate from that story arc, you like they consider it as a failure. You're setting up yourself for failure. So since I didn't take that, let's just say the traditional arc, and I am more into this side of things versus more of this side of things, like I'm trying to become a CEO, I have my PMP, I'm agile, I'm an engineer. People always try to make me afraid of trying something new, or afraid of being creative, or afraid to come up with different ways to attack my life or develop myself with that. Oh, if you don't follow the story, you're going to fail. So don't be creative. Don't think outside the box. Don't be different. Just follow the steps. It worked for centuries. Why are you different? So there's a lot of people that do feel that there's like a failure in a sense of like scaring me, if I don't follow the steps, I'm going to become a failure. So there's that. So like in my personal upbringing or my personal life, I have to look at it. Are they telling me not to do something as actual sound advice that I could apply to help my vision and my career, or and my life in general, or are they just afraid that I'm going to fail? And if and I'm open to failure. I have failed. Like I have tried to go into university and I failed, and I thought I'll keep coming back, but it was always like, okay, you tried, you failed. Let's go back to what you were traditionally we need you to do, and there's that enemies of innovation. So that's one thing I have to keep focused. It's like making sure that I do not let people make me feel that if I do something different, I'm gonna fail. So I have to keep focused on that. And honestly, the other second thing that, or that second author in that article or website was our right amount of focus. My thing is I'm always focused. And I am beginning to notice that it's not a good thing. Like, as I said, like I've always like, all right, I have my engineering degree. Okay, what am I doing with my time? I need to be focused. I need to be focused and so on and so forth. And now I've been noticing that with I have to take that back a bit because if I'm always focused, I'm always trying to find solutions and I'm not going to be creative. And I have noticed now, especially just recently, where there's a problem on a project. I get all the details of the problem. So instead of me like, all right, I need to be here in my office coming up with problems, I'm writing down notes, I'm doing this. I decided that I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to, all right, here's a problem, close up my laptop, leave my office, drive home, get on with my day, play video games. Oh, that's another thing. I do my favorite video games. Like it's old school, but my favorite video games are the Metal Gear Solid series. Sorry, I didn't mean to disrupt that thought here. Just bear with me. But as I said, and just today when I was in the gym, I that problem that came up on Friday, I found a solution for. And I'm like, okay, perfect. So now it just goes to back to that article that the least focus, you'll find solutions. You'll become more creative. So I'm deciding that that's what I'm going to do. It's just like anytime I'm facing a problem, I'm not going to try to solve it right then and there. So I'm going to take that on. So this guy here, main character of the Metal Gear Solid series, Big Boss, later on gets cloned to make Solid Snake. It's a whole thing. We don't have time to talk about it now. So my opportunities to be more creative is that at my company, as I said, that I grew in it. They consider me a leader, and they give me the autonomy to become creative, to come up with solution to problems. Nobody's coming to me and like, all right, this is a solution. This is what you have to do. They have came with me with problems, and just like even a year ago, we had an incident and a situation, and they let me take their reins, come up with solutions, be creative, brainstorm and apply those solutions that are now being part of the part of our work and part of my thing. So it is very interesting that I do have a lot of autonomy and the freedom to think and be creative, to find solutions to problems, find solutions to lesson learned in projects, and so on. Another opportunity is that, as I said, like earlier in my video, I wasn't always this confident, strong. I was very skinny, had glasses, thinning hair, and I was really had no confidence. So I had to listen to what other people wanted me to do. And then once I started going to the gym, once I started in my company, once I started having more noticing that people, I have that leadership skills, and I started developing it, and I started, getting away from that fear of failure. I noticed that, I have the confidence to be wrong. I have the confidence to fail. I have the confidence, to tell people like my ideas. And if there's pushback, I understand that, come up with the different things. Or if there is more ideas on how to be better, I had that confidence where that now allowed me to be more creative. And as I said before, it's like, oh, no, I can't speak my mind. I can't be creative. I might be wrong. I don't want to be wrong. But now, going with the gym, becoming this person I am, having the experience at Rising Edge, having the PMP and the engineering to back me up, allowed me to build that confidence, allowed me to be more creative, and so on. So, and then another going on with the assignment, being creative, it is important to me because, you know, I wasn't too sure, or sorry, like being creative, it is important to me. As I said, it does help me with my career. It does help me build teams. It does help me being more and more finding solutions in my company and helping that out. So that's why I do believe creative is important to me. I need to find out more ways to be creative in my company, and also I need to find, as I said, like my whole background until this point, I always have been like trying to making sure that I fit in my culture and I fit into what I'm supposed to do. But more and more, I feel that I need to be more and more creative. Get outside that glass box. Get away from just okay, this is expectations I have to meet. But I want to start getting that open more, so it's not just creative in my work, but creative in my life as well. So that's why I wanted. I'm looking forward to this course. Is that I could be too creative, right? As I said, like I wasn't too sure what creativity means. It's like, is this guy gonna make us paint pictures? Is this guy gonna make us write songs and make plays and video? Well, I guess I am making a video, but you know what I mean. So I wanted to make sure that how can I use creativity to my advantage in my career? How can I be more creative in my life so I could advance it? You know, as I like one thing I noticed just from doing this mind map, I was like, that's it. This is my life. Just like this is a pretty pathetic mind map, but I want to get more and more creative where I could expand my experiences, expand um, my background, expand where I go around the world. As I said, like I'm born and raised in Edmonton, Canada, but like maybe if I could start traveling, I could come up with more ideas and more things that I could implement to help me get to my ultimate goal of becoming a CEO of my company and so on. So yeah, in a way, creativity is now important to me. That now it did just for the first 2 weeks of classes, it did open my mind into that. It's not just limited into that. So I guess we could stop here, and then I'll make part three. We could go over the what's it called here? Sorry, I'm just looking at the assignment. The thinking styles that that was brought up or that you assigned to us, and I will get that to the third part, and we'll see you guys right away here. Welcome back to the video, to my personal reflection here, or reflection video, part three. So, foresight summary. When I did the in the beginning of week one or whatever it was, that self assessment, and the results spit out the implement. And it definitely, definitely, definitely fits to who I am. So going back, working for Rising Edge, PMP engineering, I'm agile. Looking forward to becoming a CEO, and I am, as I said, like I'm a senior project engineering lead. So I have to be decisive. I have to be assertive. I have to, be action oriented. Like especially for my company, it's more of a consulting firm. So when we work for clients, time is money. And we have to make sure that every time we put something or charge an hour, we have to bring a lot of value in that hour. Because if we don't, budgets get burnt up. We're not making money on projects. So I have to be assertive. Like, all right, what's the problem here? What do we need to do? All right, this is the direction we're going as a team. Let's do it. And it does like bring along a like what's it called? It does annoy people because even in my career, like people think I'm too pushy. I have people going to complain to their supervisor. I'm like, oh, Bilal is pushing me to do this, and he's always asking for updates and so on and so forth. And I have to explain myself. It's like, listen, the client's expecting an answer. We have to be confident with our answers. We can't just be wishy washy. So that's why I'm assertive. That's what we have to do. And I've been much better into because I took a meditation class as one of my courses before like in winter, and it taught me how to control my emotions, control like do my breathing practices. So I try not to be annoyed as quick, but there is like a sense of why is this not done yet? What can I do to help you bring it to the finish line? We need it by this date. The client is expecting it. The construction guys are expecting this drawing, and so on and so forth. So I do feel that that's why implementer does fit in my thing here. And one thing that I do is I'm always action oriented. Like I'm not I don't wait for other people to decide for me. So that kind of goes back into what I was saying earlier in my video of my background of being Middle Eastern, is that okay, I have to like okay, I finished school, step two, get married. and then when I get married, step three, get kids, and step four. But me, what I did in my life is I was like, okay, I'm not gonna wait force this. Okay, this didn't happen yet. I'm gonna move around and focus on this. Okay, if this still didn't happen, I'm gonna go to this way. So I didn't go into the linear motion. So that's why I do feel like I'm an implementer. That I don't sit around and wait. I make sure things get happen. And it's funny because like if if you look at my favorite characters, even with like Salt or like Big Boss or Solid Snake, they're implementers, in that Metal Gear Solid video game series. And then like even of my favorite characters in like I'm very big on mob movies. So like even Tony Soprano, like I feel that I identify with him. And people have told me like, "Oh yeah, you're like Tony Soprano, like you're the boss, you get things done." So I do feel like I do relate to people like, Tony Soprano, which is one of my favorite shows. So I guess we could put that on my mind map as well. I'll put it here. And then like even from my shows like Tony Soprano, Breaking Bad, I identify with why am I drawing a blank on the guy's name here? Um, Not Hank, but Walter White. Like especially in the later later what's it called seasons, and the way he was taking over and he was implementing what he wants to do and getting things done. I did what's it called identify with him in that sense. So I do identify with those fictional characters. I do identify with strong leaders around the world. I do identify. I try like to read up on World War II history and like on George Patton and those guys, and knowing how they were, Winston Churchill, and how like to a degree even Stalin. Like I know it's not the best leader, but like even how they they won World War II and how they were assertive and how they were implemented. So I could probably put World War II leaders. But that's what I like to do. Like I like to what's it called? Listen and look at leaders and how they were part of the solution and how they implemented and stuff like that. Even in that PDF, the article like Alexander the Great, people like that, like I do admire those people. And I do try to emulate to becoming a strong leader. As I said, you need to have that if you are trying to become a CEO and become and having the PMP and agile and being in my business degree. One thing that did not scare me, but one thing that I didn't have, like most challenging, I guess, is the ideator. So you could clearly see from my mind map, I'm focused. I'm career driven. I'm result oriented. I'm assertive. I'm like, all right, as I am a team player, but at the end of the day, all right, this is the direction we're going. We're gonna make sure we go that way. And as I said, like I don't like attention, and that's what was kind of scaring me from this class. Is like, okay, man, is this guy gonna make us post like social media posts? Is this guy gonna make us do, acting stuff like that? Like, that's not my thing. I don't like bringing attention to myself. I like to, work in the background and make sure things are getting done. Like I'm not looking for credit. I'm not looking for, hey, my picture's plastered. Like I don't even have social media, for example. Is because my thing is like, why do I need to tell people what I'm doing? I don't look for people's likes or anything like that. I know what I want to do. I know where I'm going. I'm focused in that. So that's why I don't like need simulation. I don't need to, be playful. I, like I don't need that part. One thing I do relate to is like knowing the big picture. So like you really need to have that big picture, especially if this side of things. So like when I'm working on the project, I'm not like you cannot be so hound on the one day thing and one day problem. You have to look at the big picture of the project, especially where I want to go with my career. I do want to go to become a CEO. So I can't just focus on, okay, day to day, but I have to look at the big picture. I am independent. I don't rely on other people to help me out. I try to do things on my own. So, and I guess that's how I do get along with the aviator. Um, that's why I'm saying like I get annoyed by aviators because especially when they're trying to get attention to themselves, especially if they're not sticking to one idea. It's like, okay, what do you want to do here? So that's why I like to. That's one thing is challenging with me is being idiot. No, giving out ideas or ideator. Hope I'm saying that right. But yeah, so that kind of concludes where I'm at. So we could go quickly through the mind map again. As I said, my ethnicity, I'm Middle Eastern. My parents were from Lebanon, and that kind of leads to more of the. I try to take the good things, but one disadvantage, I guess, from the traditional lifestyle that people want me to be. I am from Canada. I was born and raised in Canada. My favorite video game series is the Metal Gear Solid series. I do work out every day and I do play ice hockey as a hobby. I am a Muslim and I do volunteer or provide my community service to the Al Rashid Mosque. I work as an engineer in Rising Edge Group. Now I'm more and more into management. So that's why actually came back to school for business degrees so I could become more of a management role. My engineering, my PMP, and this helps me or made me realize that I am creative when it comes to projects, to find solutions, to find ways to move forward, and so on. Long term, I am trying to become a CEO or at least an executive in my company. As an implementer, I do identify with world leaders and strong leaders such as like Churchill and FDR and Stalin, Walter White and Tony Soprano. So as that kind of brings my implementer, and I also need to be a strong implementer if I want to be successful in my career and whatnot. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to me rant for the last, I don't know, 45 minutes, I guess. And yeah, that's me. And hopefully, as I said, like this class will help me become more creative, not just in my career, but in everyday life. And I'm not just stuck into this, all right, focus, 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 but open myself to new experiences, open myself to new relationships, open myself to keep growing as a person and not just being finding that or hitting that glass ceiling. So that's one thing that I am making sure that I don't want to, like, that's one of my biggest fears, I guess. And I could add that to my mind path is reaching a glass ceiling and sitting there, right? And that's something that I have been trying my whole life to keep staying away from. And that's why my whole thing is that I am trying to break that glass ceiling and keep moving up. They're all about women breaking the glass ceiling. Let's see here. Well, you'll get the idea, I guess. But that's another thing into why I want to become like a CEO. It's just like that glass ceiling that's always been there. I'm trying to break it, right? As a like old Middle Eastern Muslim, you don't have a lot of CEOs running companies, so that's what kind of drives me. That concludes my video. Honestly, I could sit here all day and keep going down this rabbit hole, but I know you have other better things to do. So I appreciate, giving us the freedom and the opportunity to go beyond just writing a paper. And as I said, like this was me getting out of my comfort zone, having this conversation, even though it's one way, but I know that if you and I were in the same room, I'm pretty sure you'd have answers and we could keep going with this conversation. Thank you for listening in. As I said, I will download this mind map. I appreciate you building this mind map with me. Submit this. Try to upload this video. If not, I'll put the link on YouTube. Submit that as well. Thank you for listening in and watching, and we'll catch you guys next, or we'll catch you next time. Thanks.